Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to Counsel of the Day with Shanrae. And I am Shanrae. Good evening, CJ. How are you? So good to see you. So good to see you. So this is our fifth final week and our very last day of our Counsel of the Day with Shanrae for this month of August, for this quarter. And this month we've talked on do you lean more towards being self-centered or self-preserved? And so we're finishing up everything on tonight. Excuse me, I am multitasking. Please excuse me as I'm moving things along kind of quickly. Let me open this up. Yes, so good to see you, CJ. So good to see you, CJ. Um, that you're on, and everyone else that's on. Good evening, Dupree. He said, "I'm great," and I'm doing great. Thank you, CJ. I'm doing great. So I'm gonna move this along. And I want to reiterate, like what I did, what I talked about on Thursday night a little bit, and I wanted to give a little bit more on this. There was a wonderful couple by the name of Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson. And they wrote a wonderful song in 1984 called Solid as a Rock. And the words say, and for love's sake, each mistake, you forgave. And soon both of us learned to trust, not run away, because there was no time to play, because we built it up and we built it up and we built it up, and now it's solid as a rock. That's what this love is. That's what we've got. And when I say that these words were so like prophetic, they were so prophetic back then. You know, I was young. 1984, I was still young. I was in high school. So I was still young. So, you think, CJ said that's my song, right? I'm telling you, CJ, that song is powerful. Solid as a rock. And I thought, you think you know what the words of a song mean. Back then, you think you do. But when you get older and you actually, good evening, Sheila. Hey, she. And as you get older, you find out really what these words mean. And for love's sake, each mistake, you forgave. And soon both of us learned to trust, not run away, because it was no time to play. We built it up, we built it up, we built it up, and now it's solid as a rock. That's what this love is. That's what we've got. I'm not gonna sing it because this is not the platform for me to sing. But that is a powerful song. Okay, so I am a degree counselor. I acquired my degrees from Ashford University years ago. So I always want to let you know I am a degree counselor. I want to go on and read this website disclaimer. Let me magnify this for you so you can see it a little bit better. So it says, please be aware that due to the nature of the technology that I'm using, that there can be no assurance of confidentiality when using this online service. It should also be noted that due to changes in policies, that all replies are to be used as advisory and informational only, and will not constitute an official determination. Information provided by myself or any other counselor, someone with life experience, or even a religious leader, that the services are subject to the limitations of the current and available material, but the final responsibility for successfully achieving a goal rests with you, the individual or the client. So information online is designed to be helpful. However, this information does change frequently, and it is recommended that you, the client or the individual, consult another physician, another specialist, and or another religious leader to aid you in your overall behavioral wellness. So I want to kind of move this along because this 30 minutes is going to go and come by really quickly. I'm a Christian counselor, as I always state. And so the scripture for this month has been from Matthew 7, chapter 7, verse 12. And I like to read from the Amplified Bible version. And it says, so then in everything, treat others the same way that you want them to treat you. For this is the essence of the law and the writings of the prophets. In other words, Good evening, Helen. How are you? In other words, this is the golden rule. It says to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. CJ, he said, please sing. You're gonna have to get me next month during my indie artist showcase. I'll sing there. But this is my professional platform. I'm sorry, CJ. All right, so we're gonna move this along. This is the final evening of my topic for this quarter and for this month in August 2021. Do you lean more towards being self-centered or more self-preserved in your relationships? Okay, and then the subtitle for tonight is a help or a hindrance, and you'll kind of get what I'm talking about. I'm going to come back around and ask the question, but y'all know that I define the different things that I'm talking about. So, self-preservation is a preservation of oneself from destruction or harm. Or the next thing is self-centered, which means concerned solely with one's own desires, one's own needs, or one's own interests. I have the definition of narcissistic down here, and that talks about having an excessive or an erotic interest in your own self and oneself and your own physical appearance, like always touching your hair, always fixing your makeup, always, oh, look at how fine I am. That type of thing. That's what that means. And then connectiveness. Tonight, I want to talk a little bit more about connectedness, being connected. So, connected, like connect the dots, but connectedness. And the definition for that is the state of being joined or linked, or a feeling of belonging to or having affinity with a particular person or a particular group. So that's what connectiveness is. This is an open forum. I always say that. So you are more than welcome to ask questions. You're more than welcome to give scenarios, life situations that maybe that you have experienced. If there's something that you may currently be experiencing, feel free to talk about it. I will pause and I will give some highlight to you, give highlight to the scenario. So we're going to keep it moving. Tonight's key points, I'll be talking about 4 ways. Number 1 is 4 ways to preserve the relationship with you and your spouse, or you and your significant other. Number 2 is the value of relationships. Number 3 is the meaning of preservation. Number 4 is Maxwell on connecting, and you'll find out who Maxwell is a little bit later on. And number 5 is to connect or to reconnect. And then, of course, we're always going to have our takeaway. So let's get started. The 4 ways to preserve relationship with your spouse. And this is a long-term study that was done by Dr. Robert Ferguson. And he wrote this in 2012. And the older a theory or a theoretical writing is, it gives you substance on the topic that the theorist or the counselor or the psychologist has researched. And a lot of times when they're doing their theoretical writings, they have done long-term studies like on them, doing a long-term, like 10 years or more on this topic here. So 4 ways to preserve your relationship with your spouse or with your significant other. Okay, so there's 2 questions here. Number 1 is, it says, why did you get married? Why did you get married? Now let me show me a little bit more. Why did I get married? Because Dr. Robert Ferguson is asking a question. He wants you to ask yourself, why did you get married, or why do you want to be married? Okay, and then there's another question. Was it for love, for companionship, for sex, for money, for some unmet need? Or is it a mixture of all of it? Why did you get married, or why do you want to get married? I'm going to magnify this. So me, I got married being a Christian and growing up in church, and I'm very candid about my life. Number 1 was for love. I was taught that it's honorable to marry, and then also when you find your soulmate, or when he finds you, because in the church, Christian church, it's he that finds a good wife, not the woman that finds a good man. So to go on and marry. because that's a good Christian way. You're going to marry, but you marry for love. I marry for companionship. I marry for sex because I'm human. I enjoy it. I really do. And so I wanted to, as a Christian, I wanted to make sure that I was in good standing with the Lord. Now, I didn't start out, and I'm an open book. I didn't start out the way the Bible says. I had sex before marriage. I was taught totally against that. But that's a whole different chapter. That's a whole different topic there. But why did I get married? For the love, for the companionship, for the sex. I didn't marry for money. But what I did marry for was for us to be able to build together and to grow together. Now that's one of the main reasons why I didn't marry. And I wanted to definitely marry someone I knew that I can build with, I can grow with. We can fail together and then rebuild together. Because that's a part of life. Someone that I can trust. That's why I married. I wanted to marry someone that I know I can trust, someone that I know I can rely on. And it wasn't for no unmet needs, but it was really, really because I really, really wanted to make sure whoever I married, that I was able to build with them. We can grow together. I can build with them. We can accomplish things together. Again, we can fail together and then rebuild all over again together. Because that's all a part of it. So Dr. Ferguson says maybe it was a start to start a family. Well, we had already started our family when we got married. We had Kai. We had Kai when we got married. So our family, we didn't do it the way of the Lord, the way the Bible says. We had our family, then we got married. Kai was 10 months when we married. All right, so it says maybe to start a family, desire for children or push for grandchildren is a common reason a man and woman decide to join in holy matrimony. But Ferguson says, or maybe you desire to create shared experiences. That was me too. We love to travel together. My husband and I, we love traveling. We love to play games together. We love to do things together. So you had someone to share your story with and to look back at pictures someday and then reminisce about your experiences together. Regardless of why you got married, one fact remains that you are now in a relationship. And Dr. Ferguson says, congratulations. Now might be a good time to understand exactly what that means. Okay, do we have any scenarios or questions or anything, CJ? You have anything you want to say? We can go on and highlight that. So let's move this along. Because this 30 minutes and I'm moving quick, y'all. And if I slur a little bit, please excuse the slurring. I had dental work done earlier. I was trying to pre-record, but I never got a chance to finish my research, so I had to come on live. All right, so let me blow this up, just magnified a little bit for you. Here are 4 ways to preserve your relationship with your spouse, and this is again by Dr. Robert Ferguson. Okay, so one of them, he talks about the value of relationships. And it says, as a differentiating value, relationships means a state of connectiveness between people. It can also mean association or kinship. In a marriage, it's the first part that really matters, the connectiveness. CJ said no questions. Okay. The connectedness. And connectedness is about relating in a way that increases your influence. For the good, not for evil. Okay. So if you can effectively connect with your spouse, there is so much stronger likelihood that you'll have a healthy relationship for a lot of years, for many years. And Dr. Ferguson says, however, that if you feel that you no longer connect very well with your spouse, he encourages you to read the post. Read this one, and it says, learning to connect with your spouse all over again. All right, so he says that our ability to connect with our spouse is a critical component to creating a positive and rewarding relationship. And like any other useful skill, it requires continual effort to preserve the relationship. Now, effort on both people, not just one. Because one person that's always making an effort, it is not going to work. It takes the effort of 2 people. We don't always agree on everything. But we shouldn't always disagree on everything either. So we've got to have some kind of connected, and in both of us, we got to try to continue to keep our connection, which will strengthen our relationships. All right, so let's move this on along. The next thing that Dr. Ferguson talks about is the meaning of preservation in our relationships. Anyone has anything that you want to highlight? Anything that you don't mind sharing? I will go on and I will take a pause, and I will go on and highlight it right now. But until then, it says the meaning of preservation. So consider the word preservation. Okay, so we preserve food, we could preserve art, we preserve film, books, buildings, etc. So the purpose of such preservations is to prevent decay, to prevent eroding, and those elements that would ultimately destroy what we cherish today. All right. So in many cases, preservation is done simply by duplication. That's all. For instance, film industry. We have seen Cinderella movie made over and over and over and over again. The Cinderella story. So it's preserving it for our newer generations to actually see, hear about the story Cinderella, but in a modern way. So that's what this is, by duplication. So the idea is that if you duplicate a movie or a book, you have a backup. And now it's considered preserved, right? So Dr. Ferguson said, well, in marriage, we often simply duplicate our same old efforts, like giving flowers on Valentine's Day or taking our spouse out to dinner on their birthday, and then give them socks for Christmas, etc. While somewhat useful, this is not the best way to preserve our marriages or your relationships. So if relationships are about connectiveness, then preserving the connection is what matters. Dr. Ferguson says that we need to fight the elements that could harm our connectedness or our connection in our marriages. He says that this includes preventing the growth of detachment, because it's easy to get detached in your relationships and in your marriages. It's easy to disconnect. He said retarding those things that cause the degradation and inhibiting deterioration of the original, which is the original love and fondness in our relationships. So he talks about, Dr. Ferguson he's talking about 4 different ways to preserve your relationship. And he says, so in an effort to help you to protect the value of your relationship, he said, here's 4 ways. So number 1, store important memories. And I'm gonna put my little clicker here. I don't know if y'all can see that. Right here, right here. It says store important memories. Well, we do that. Thank God for our phones. Thank God for our iPhones, our Apple phones. Thank God for our Samsung phones. We take pictures. They're stored automatically. You can upload them to your iCloud so you can have them forever and ever. Amen. So it's important to keep a record of positive experiences that you and your spouse or your significant other or your loved ones have had together. This can be done through putting pictures in a photo album, which is old school. We don't do that no more. Everything is digital. Keeping specific items of memorabilia, I do though. I really do. I keep stuff. And I try to put them up in certain areas in my house. So it just keeps memories going. Dr. Ferguson also says, or scrapbooking. Some people scrapbook, that's still old school too, but some people still do a scrapbooking. But remember to pull these things out on occasion to review and to reminisce together. Let me open this up a little bit and then I'm going to move along. That was number 1. Number 1, Dr. Ferguson said to store important memories. Now, what helps us is sometimes when we have visitors come over, we have our family come over, our friends come over. At times we pull out our wedding book. We pull it out and we start combing through it and showing them our wedding with it'd be 28 years in 2 weeks. September 18th, we have been married. Dupree and I have been together for over 30 years though, but 28 years. So looking back, 28 years ago when we first got married, and showing the family and everybody who was in the wedding and how they look now compared to then, and then start talking about different things and showing them whatever, talking about even the style of clothing and everything. It just brings back fondness, and it helps us rekindle how we felt when we first got together. All right, so that was number one. Let me magnify this again. Number two, Dr. Ferguson says to establish regular reviews. Deliberately set aside, and let me put my little clicker over there. That's number two. Number two, to establish regular reviews. Deliberately set aside time on a regular basis to discuss what's going well, what's not going well, what you are enjoying most, what you're not enjoying, what you would like to improve, and what you would like to change. And in the corporate world, regular reviews have proven to be an effective way to preserve happy employees. So this tool also works equally well in other types of relationships, including in your marriage. Now, let me demagnify this. Now, if y'all gonna get into a huge argument, an explosive argument, there may be, the way to do this, to establish regular reviews amongst y'all is to go to counseling, go to a safe space, go to a therapist, where they can mediate and they can help you use this strategy in a healthy way rather than in an explosive way, or one full of emotion and a lack of understanding. So this is, again, as a counselor, I strongly suggest number two, and I'm going to magnify that. If you, while you're trying to establish regular reviews of your relationship, if it's going to become very toxic and explosive, I advise strongly to go and sit down with a therapist, someone that you can trust. And thank you, CJ. He said, "Wow, that's amazing, real love." Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Take it. It's okay to go and sit with a therapist. And even if you go one time, you don't have to. Depending on the therapist and their conditions, and their regular rules and regulations, you don't have to go every week for 3 months. Or if you just need an immediate session right then, just one session, then let them know. We just want to sit down and we want to learn how to do this in a healthy manner, reviewing our relationship. So let me magnify this, and we're going to move on to number three. Number three says to add some salt, add some sugar, or add some spice to your relationship. And what Dr. Ferguson was saying about this is just as salt draws out moisture in your food, and sugar crystallizes. These are two popular methods in preserving foods. So are physical touch and intimacy. So let's look at physical touch and intimacy as the same benefits that salt and sugar does with your food. Okay, touch and intimacy is going to do the same exact things to your relationship. It's going to spice things up, and it's going to bring the moisture out. You take that any way you want to take it. All right. And so it's an important part of preserving your marriage, Dr. Ferguson was saying. So if things are getting a bit boring, spice it up and try something different. Consider going on a trip or starting a new activity, or venture together. Do something together that'll spice things up. Okay, so that's number three. Add some salt, sugar, or spice to your relationship. Number four, Dr. Ferguson says to focus on others. This helps sometimes to focus, and I've got my little clicker here, focusing on others. So there is no shortage of people in need or causes that are waiting for your support. So sometimes the best way to preserve a relationship is give it a new focus. Apply your combined energies to a worthy cause, something that you and your spouse can support 100%. Not only will you make a difference in the lives of others, you just might have a legacy that you can both be proud of together. Now, let me magnify this. Let me make it a little smaller. I see that we have Sheila Moore Piper on tonight, and then we have Helen McCoy. I know them personally. So Sheila and her husband, I know this for a fact that they do focus on other people. They're her spouse. They both are music producers. So they work that draws that have them working a little bit better, a little more close contact with each other. Their communication is a little stronger because you got to communicate if you're going to work with someone and producing music and sound and all of that with. And so I'm just as I want to come to a healthy conclusion that I know that has helped their marriage gel a little bit better, because not only are they married and they live together, now they have different careers, but they do share the music career together. Now Helen and her husband are both in ministry. So I know that what those two working together in ministry has strengthened their connection as a marriage, because when you're focusing on other people, you two have to unite together in order to make what the cause that you're working towards, make it work and allow it to work and to grow. So I know with that connection with those two, that has helped strengthen their connection, their connectiveness as a couple as well. Helen, I'm waiting on your address because I do want to send you something, because you've been on every night this week, every Tuesday and Thursday. So please drop in my inbox your mailing address so I can send you something. And that's just a giveaway that I do. I try to do a giveaway every time I do a sessions. All right, so let's move our next thing on. Okay, and I'm going to magnify this. So Dr. Ferguson, I wanted to revisit something that Dr. Ferguson talked about a little bit earlier. And I wanted to revisit the learning to connect with your spouse all over again. So as you can see here, it says what other ways can help preserve your relationship with your spouse? That's the first question. And the second one, it says, how can the value of relationship benefit your marriage? Now, we're going to talk again, learning how to connect with your spouse. It says holding hands. Holding hands does help. Can help you connect with your spouse when y'all, at home or out. Giving gifts, of course. Enjoying a meal together at a favorite restaurant. These are just some of the things that we expect to see in couples who are dating and even newlyweds. But when a lot of times you see it kind of die off for those that have been in relationship a little bit longer. But when you see people that have been connected and married longer, and when you see them holding hands and doing little things, that's powerful. That's powerful. So Dr. Ferguson says, what do we expect to see from couples married 10, 20, or even 40 years? Why wouldn't we expect to see these same things with them? So he said, the number one reason that couples change their behavior with each other is because they lose the value of their connectedness. So as a value, connectedness means a relationship between things or events being joined or linked together. And then Dr. Ferguson goes on to say that connecting does matter, and it does. All right, so let's get back to what Maxwell was talking about on connecting. All right, the leader John Maxwell. Some of y'all may actually know his name because he is okay. Let's read this. John Maxwell, leadership expert, writes in his book, and I'm gonna have to read over here because connecting, writes in his book, everyone communicates, but few connect. So this is the book. Everyone communicates, but few connect. All right. So connecting is the ability to identify with people and relate to them in a way that increases your influence with them. And so John Maxwell gives 5 different principles to connecting with other people. Let's look at this first one. The first one says, connecting increases your influence in every situation. So when you connect with other people, it does increase your influence in every situation. The second thing is connecting is all about other people. It's about others, not about you. The third thing John Maxwell says, connecting goes beyond words. Yes, it does. Connecting does go beyond words. All right. The next thing that John Maxwell said, that connecting always requires energy, giving energy, and it does. The next thing that John Maxwell says is that connecting is more skill than natural talent, and that which means that it can be learned. You can learn how to connect. All right. So he ends it by saying, "So how connected are you with your spouse? And if it's good, then you need to keep it going. But if you've lost your connectiveness with your spouse, you can regain it." And see, that's what this teaching has been about. The sessions have been about all month long. You know, how we can kind of, if we lean more towards being self-centered, how we can lean more towards being more us preserved. And if you're more self-preserved, which is a self-protection barrier, how you can lean more to being more of us preserved, what I talked about last Thursday. So these are the 5 love languages that Dr. John Maxwell talks about. He actually has a series of books called the 5 love languages. Number 1, he says words of affirmation. Give words of affirmation to your loved ones. 2, quality time is very important. Give quality time to your loved one. Number 3, receiving gifts. Give gifts. They ain't got to be expensive. Yeah, I mean, you know, if you do it the right way, giving a pack of bubble gum to your loved one, if you do it the right way, it can be highly stimulating. Okay. Number 4, acts of service. You know, when you're looking out for each other, you know, oh, your feet, you had a long day today. Let me rub your feet. Let me rub, even if you rubbing some icy hot on their feet. That it helps. It's beautiful. Number 5, physical touch. Physical touch is always a great love language. So these are some of the 5 love languages that Dr. John Maxwell was talking about, which will help your relationship, help you connect better in your relationships. Okay, I wanted to share because there it talks about the you can take a quiz. John Maxwell has a site, and I'm gonna drop the site on here afterwards, where it's free. It's a free quiz that you can take to find out what your main love language is. I took the quiz, and my primary love language is quality time. Mine is quality time. As you can see, 33% here. What is quality time? 27% is acts of service. 23% is physical touch. 17% is words of affirmation. And then you know what? It came up 0 with receiving gifts, because these 4 things to me is a gift to me. That's a gift to me right there. Quality time, acts of service, physical touch, words of affirmation. That all equals a big gift, 100% gift to me. So that's my primary love language, quality time. It really is. So I am going to drop the link in here afterwards. It is, like I said, it is a free quiz. If you want to find out what your primary love language is, okay. And I didn't mind sharing mine. Mine is quality time. All right. So, let's do our takeaway. I wanted to do our final takeaway. To connect or to reconnect, it says. Um, this is with your spouse or your significant other. So you need to speak their primary love language. Again, I shared mine. Mine is quality time. But what if you don't know what it is and they won't do the assessment? Okay, so we're back to Dr. Ferguson. Dr. Ferguson says to put on your Sherlock Holmes detective hat and begin experimenting. Focus on one love language, such as words of affirmation. Focus on one at a time and do just that one type for 2 weeks for every day. He said it has to appear genuine though, and it needs to be natural. Then switch to a different love language. And once you find out your spouse's primary love language, it'll be so obvious. It'll feel like winning the lottery. This is what Dr. Ferguson says. Yeah, Helen said, yes, rekindle. Yes, Helen, that's what it's about, rekindling. Yes. So Dr. Ferguson says, at first, Speaking a new language might feel difficult and even awkward. But as with learning anything new, it gets easier the more that you do it. And then you can help your spouse understand your own primary love language. So, if you would like to experience the same kind of connectiveness, and I'm actually going to write this down now, that newlyweds or even dating couples have, try learning a new language. It just might open a whole new world in your marriage. Okay. And so, and that again came from um Dr. Ferguson. He took some notes from John Maxwell, who is a very famous life coach, speaker, and he's also a Christian man, a very wise man. So I would like to leave you all with quotes. And my quote for today, it says that if you are not connecting on a daily basis with your spouse, then you are exchanging a soulmate for a roommate. And this is quote is by Maggie Reyes. I'm gonna say that again. If you're not connecting on a daily basis with your spouse, you're exchanging a soulmate for a roommate. And Maggie Reyes, she's the one who did this quote. And I really love this. That this quote really stood out to me. That's a very wise woman, a very wise woman. So, do we have anyone that wants to add to this last session for our Counsel of the Day for Shanrae and our August 2021 series? I'm gonna come back in September, in November to finish out the year, and of course, it'll be a different topic. But if you don't feel to share anything, I want to thank you. Let me move this along. These are my for any fellow theorists or counselors or even someone who may be interested on where I did all my teaching and my findings from. Here's the theory website references right here. You can always go back and look for yourself. But I do want to thank you all for participating in Counsel of the Day with Shanrae, August 2021. I am Shanrae, and I am a degree counselor. I do private sessions on my own. Okay, if you have missed any of my sessions, the past ones, or even from a couple of years back, go on my YouTube channel at Shanrae Price. Go on and scroll through it, click it, watch it, like, share, subscribe. All right. And again, at my Cheree Price or my Shanrae Price YouTube page. Now, I am a professional one-on-one counselor. And if you're interested in professional one-on-one counseling services, feel free to contact me via my Facebook Messenger page or at my Cheree Price at Gmail email. I'm a lifestyle strategist, and my aim is to aid you in reaching your life's goals and your life dreams. I'm going to say this and I'm going to move it right on back. So if you feel that this teaching has helped you in a positive way or blessed your life, please feel free to donate a coffee blessing at my Cash App, which is $Shanrae Price. And I'm going to move this back. Let me open this up just a little bit, and I'm going to go back because I want to end it the way I started it. But I thank you all. This August 2021 Counsel of the Day session again has been on self-centered or self-preserved. Which one are you? Tonight it was talking about has it been a hindrance or has it been a help in your marriage? It's just up to you to sit weigh out and to think for yourself. But I'm going to end it the way I started, and let me open this back up and I'm gonna magnify it. I'm gonna leave you with the beautiful words of Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson. Their song "Solid as a Rock," and it says, "And for love's sake, each mistake, you forgave. And soon both of us learn to trust, not run away, because it was no time to play. Because we built it up and we built it up and we built it up, and now it's solid, solid as a rock." That's what this love is. That's what we've got. Oh, all right now. So you all have a wonderful, thank you again for being a part of Shanrae Counsel of the Day with Shanrae, August 2021. You all have a wonderful, wonderful Labor Day. Wonderful, wonderful Labor Day weekend. And I will see you all in November 2021 back on this platform, Counsel of the Day with Shanrae. All right. God bless and good night.